If you feel like you're in a competitive market or you sell similar products and services to clients within your space, I am going to teach you 7 steps that you can use today to beat your competition. Now, it actually starts with one overarching rule. The number one overarching rule is to stop being in a competitive market. Like not that your market will stop being competitive all of a sudden. Like I've sold copywriting services for well over a decade, but I stopped selling copywriting services and I started selling me. I started selling my uniqueness. I started selling me as a differentiated service provider. So yes, okay, ultimately what they're getting, they're coming to me, they're hiring me to do copywriting services for them, but they're hiring me. And that's because I've basically gone through these 7 steps. So 7 steps to beat your competition. Number one, know your prospect. You have to know who you're talking to. You have to know who your market is. You have to know what keeps them awake at night. You have to know their fears, their frustrations, their failures, what they dream of, what they desire, what their sense of destiny is. You have to know your prospect. You have to get to know them on an intimate level, beyond just what it is that your product or service does. Number two, know your problem, or know their problem actually. So you have to understand what problem it is that you are able to solve. So if it's marketing, it's specifically bringing in new leads, customers, sales, profits. If it's a health related problem, it's really clearly defining the problem it is that you are solving. Whatever your service is, right? You have to define the problem in a very clear way that matches what you know about your prospect and what they know about their problem. Either it's the symptoms of the problem that they can clearly recognize, or if the problem has already been named in their head, knowing that problem clearly by name. Next, you have to understand why they still have the problem. So some things are kind of evergreen. Like if you're in a market like marketing, where businesses, as soon as they get one new customer through the door, they want another and another and another. And actually, the more successful any given service provider is with a client, the more demand that client will have for more services like that. So a client that has one good copywriter is going to need a second and a third and a fourth and so on. And they actually still have that problem for that reason. If they still have the problem because they've never been able to solve it, well, that business is going to go out of business, right? But other markets may be a little bit different. It may be that they just haven't clearly identified what the real issue is at the heart of this persistent problem. They haven't diagnosed appropriately what what's still causing that problem to persist. So you have to, number 3 is understand why they still have the problem. And then once you have that understanding, you go to number 4, where you understand the solution. You understand a solution that addresses not just the multiple variations on that problem, but the underlying component, which is that reason why they still have it. I have another video called "New Understanding of a Persistent Problem," or that talks about the new understanding of the persistent problem, or the mechanism of the problem. And I'll make sure that I include a link to that. But you have a solution, and you should have a clear understanding of what is required of a product or service in order to solve that problem that you're discussing. So once we get up to that point, you have an opportunity to do step number 5, which is establish buying criteria. Now, this is you helping them make the best decision in order to solve this problem that they want to have solved. So you establish the buying criteria for what an effective solution looks like. So you know what the solution is, and you need to teach them what it is that they need to look for in terms of deciding on a solution. Now, done right, your product or service is ultimately going to be that. Your product or service is going to fulfill on the buying criteria, especially for your perfect prospect, your perfect customer. So you establish the buying criteria, and then we get to step number 6. You need to demonstrate the solution. Now, story is actually perfect for this, but there are lots of different ways. Sharing your process, explaining your process, the 4-part offer formula that I've taught before. These different things are ways to demonstrate the solution. So not just the product or service features or even benefits, but really like a very clear understanding of, this is where you're at. This is the problem that you have. This is the solution you're looking for. Here's how we go through those steps. Here's how other people have gone through those steps. Here's how I have gone through those steps myself. Here's how I can take you through those steps. So you're demonstrating the solution, and that's checking off the boxes in terms of the buying criteria that you've established. And then once you've gotten to that point, you do step number 7, which is to offer a silver platter solution. So this is going to be your product or service that's really designed to get them the outcome that they want on a silver platter, right? It's like, well, if you really wanted this outcome, I've done it before. Here's what you have to know about getting this solution to this problem. Now, this is actually designed to help you do that. Here you go. So going back through the 7 steps, you have to know your prospect. You have to know their problem. You have to understand why they still have the problem, and you have to understand the solution. Then you establish the buying criteria that are required for the solution. You demonstrate that you have that solution for them, and then you offer the silver platter solution, the solution to them on a silver platter. Now, the pure process of going through this, it completely differentiates you from your competitors. Now, even if they can solve the problem in a similar way, most businesses don't go through the thinking of this. It's like the old Claude Hopkins story, where all of the beer brewers in the country were doing these certain steps to create pure beer, which was, they were all promising this promise of pure beer. And this was like 100 years ago. And then Schlitz came along and hired Claude Hopkins, the copywriter. And Hopkins, he actually took a tour of their brewery, and he said, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, that's completely fascinating. And then he actually wrote an ad that explained their process and how that process led to pure beer. And it went from Schlitz being like the number 5 beer in Milwaukee to being the number 1 beer in the country. And their competitive advantage lasted for decades because he went through this process of like figuring out all the steps and being able to present them in a clear way that established Schlitz as the superior solution, even though effectively it wasn't that much different from every other beer at the time. Now, I will say that this actually came out of a reader question. I should have said that at the beginning of the video. I had Rikesh write in and ask, why should any prospect deal with me if there are others who can also provide solutions? Well, ultimately, you underestimate the prospect's need for multiple solutions, or the prospect's desire to buy multiple solutions. Usually, like I said, a business that hires one copywriter will end up hiring multiples, or they work with one traffic buyer. If they're successful, they're going to work with multiples. Also, you underestimate yourself in terms of being able to find businesses that are a fit for where you are right now. And so, a business that's going to hire an A-list, whatever skill, is not necessarily going to be the same business that's going to hire a B-list or a C-list. And if you're on the C-list, then go find the businesses that are a good fit for where you are, grow in those businesses, and then move up and move up and move up, right? So yeah, sure. Or find opportunities within the A-list business for C-list skills or B-list skills. Like, for example, in the copywriting world, there are a lot of businesses that have like their top copywriter working on some core projects, but they have a ton of additional copy that needs to be written. And simply understanding that and coming at that and identifying this separate problem and going through this whole process and this separate problem allows you an in at those places that you can then grow into an even bigger opportunity. So my name is Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. If you liked the content, like the video, be in comment, share your biggest takeaway, the next thing that you're going to do. You can also share the video with people who you might find or who might find it valuable. You can tag them in the comments, whatever, and subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber here or at breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, where I send out Monday through Friday emails that are articles and videos about marketing, copywriting, business building, entrepreneurship, personal development, and more. You can subscribe there, subscribe to me here. And I'm on a mission to help 50,000 value-first, value-focused leadership entrepreneurs build better businesses that allow them to live happier, healthier, more prosperous, and impactful lives through more effective marketing. And I would love to have you join me on this mission by just subscribing. It's as simple as that, and following the new content that I put out around these topics. So again, I'm Roy Furr. This is a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and use these 7 steps to go out and beat your competition, and make the world a better place through using these 7 steps applied to products and services that solve real problems for your prospects, for your customers, for your clients. Again, I will see you again in our next video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.